So aside from everyone basically agreeing that a How to Train Your Dragon so-called live action isn't needed, apparently there is more controversy. I just find all of this entertaining. But I figure this is a good discussion to have over this. It says How to Train Your Dragon director addresses live action Astrid casting controversy. We're crafting a fantasy, not historical fact. Okay, so for those who don't know, this is what Astrid looks like, right? Since the inception of this franchise, the movie platform, there is a difference between when you're changing something from a book medium to a on-screen medium, so long as the book medium isn't a widely known established franchise, which How to Train Your Dragon was not, let's just be honest. But from the inception of this franchise, this is what Astrid looks like. Had they cast Hiccup and made him blonde and blue-eyed, I'd be very, very annoyed because it's not what he looks like. Had they cast Toothless, I know it sounds funny, right? Casting, but you know what I mean. Had they drawn Toothless and decided to suddenly make him the exact same, sort of, but then make him look like a Light Fury, why bother naming him Toothless? Why not just have it be a different dragon with a different story? The conversation surrounding this has a lot more nuance than people are giving it credit for.
Somebody edited Nico Parker with the blonde wig. This is who they're complaining about playing Astrid. These are twins.
Everyone is jumping on the bandwagon of, well, it must be because people just don't like dark-skinned people, which obviously isn't the case here with Nico Parker, because as you can see, she is not dark-skinned. Of course, she is the descendant of the Afro ethnicity, but she, I gather, has a lot of European in her as well. I wouldn't doubt that she has some Scandinavian in her, or Northern Europe in her as well. That's not where the main problem lies. I mean, I understand the virtue signaling of it. I do get it, because they can get away with it and be like, see, we're being diverse, so you can't say that we're prejudiced. I do understand that. But here's the thing, if you're gonna go this route, make her blonde. We've got a first look, Universal Pictures posted this, and we've got a first look of them on set, and apparently this is supposed to be Astrid. So you have a woman who happens to have some black blood in her, and you decided that, well, just so people know, let's give her box braids or micro braids and not make her blonde at all, which makes no sense. You didn't even give her braids and then make her blonde. What is it with Hollywood thinking that if someone has a drop of black in them, they need to have braids? I don't understand why that's the case. It's like they're trying to tell people, see guys, technically she's black. And yes, I know that Vikings had braids, but Astrid didn't. And even if you were going to make this a style, like, I just feel like it is, I don't know, kind of borderline racist in my opinion. Because it's like, anytime they cast a black dude, they either gotta put them in dreads, the Killmonger hairstyle, like they gotta have dreads, they've gotta have no hair, a super afro, or braids. Like, they don't have any other hairstyles. African people and Black Americans have a variety of hairstyles that they wear. And I know this is shocking to some people, but they're not just in braids. Some of them wear their hair loose, twist outs, braid outs, or they just have their long 4C hair, just maybe they wear it a certain way, put it up in a bun at night, and then just let it loose. To me, it just comes off like they're trying extra hard. Needless to say, even though you can initially argue that, wow, she kind of does have the facial structure of Astrid and the build of Astrid, why couldn't you just commit the full way? Were they afraid that because what's her name? Nico Parker is biracial, that they'd somehow be offending her? Like, even if you want to have her natural texture, still make it blonde. Like, even still, like, I just don't understand. You're playing a character. Why are you making Hiccup look like Hiccup and not making Astrid look like Astrid? So anyway, we get to the article where he's like, we're crafting a fantasy, not historical fact. This tribe in this version is made up of descendants of the finest dragon fighters from everywhere the Vikings had ever traveled, which historically was far and wide. Vikings mixed with many cultures. Still, we're crafting a fantasy, not historical fact. Instead of a completely new tale, we aim to embellish and deepen without abandoning the story the fans love. Okay, so as you said, we're creating a fantasy, not historical fact. That's funny because if accuracy doesn't matter, why stick with Vikings or Nordic culture at all? Why not just set it in a space with a culture or historical context that's completely different? Why not make it cyberpunk? Right, because you still want the whole Viking aesthetic for the nostalgia. And let's be honest, because Vikings are a draw. Everyone loves Vikings. Let's be real. If this was a character of color being whitewashed, people would lose it. And that would be a completely understandable reaction. But apparently swapping it the other way is artistic vision.
How white does a mixed black person have to be before you say that they could take the part? These are her parents, a half-mixed mother, a white father. If you straighten her hair, you wouldn't even know she was black. I seen white people more tan than her, plus she's the only one with colored eyes.
He also mentioned that Vikings were mixed with other cultures. So let me understand something. I could be ignorant, but are you referencing all those times they pillaged and violated their way through Europe? Because that's what most of the mixing pertained to. Let's not pretend that this is some historical deep dive. If you're leaning on we're crafting a fantasy to explain the changes, why even bring up Viking mixing in the first place? It's like you're saying it's totally a fantasy, but here's some cherry-picked historical context to justify it. It's either it's a free-for-all fantasy or it's rooted in history. You gotta pick a lane. Then I mentioned in this article, however, there's one thing that Astrid, Ariel, and Hermione have in common. They're not real. Why does it matter who is cast in the role if they're good at it? Wolverine is Canadian, but Hugh Jackman is Australia. Get rid of him. Ahsoka Tano is Togruta, but Rosario Dawson is a human woman. We should cancel Star Wars. The narrative over whitewashing now being replaced by the exact opposite is nonsense at best and harmful at worst. Parker will be a tremendous Astrid, and How to Train Your Dragon will be better for her presence. Yes, Astrid, Ariel, and Hermione aren't real, but franchises thrive on consistency and connection. So when a character looks a certain way, their appearance, their personality are already cemented in recent cinema, especially How to Train Your Dragon, when I know I echoed this to death in my last video. The last movie was only 5 years ago. Changing them so drastically can feel like a betrayal to everybody who supported the franchise in the first place. You're not changing Hiccup. You're not changing Toothless, even though you made him look a little worse. You didn't change Stoic. So why did you change Astrid? You really mean to tell me, of all the people that you've auditioned, that Nico Parker was the best person for the role? Really? They used to have casting calls for people who fit a certain description to play a character that people already know and love, like Superman. If they made Superman look blonde, I would be very upset because that's not how Superman looks. We have a blonde Superman, it's called Homelander, and nobody likes him. Actually, we like him as a villain, but you know what I mean. But in all the iterations of Superman, what do you notice? Oh my God. He's pale-skinned, he's got a strong jawline, he's very attractive, except for that one over there. I don't know what the fuck that is, but yeah, he's brunette or dark-haired, strong, muscular build, tall. That is Superman. You look at this and you're like, damn, that's Superman. To the point where if you see someone that has those same aesthetics, you think, damn, that person looks like Superman. That was actually my nickname for my husband because he has that aesthetic. And especially like the way he wears his hair. I'm like, damn, bro, you got that Superman thing going on if he was like Latino and Italian and Irish. But still, same thing with Storm from X-Men. She's always been a dark-skinned woman of African descent with white or silver hair. If they were to suddenly make her blonde or redheaded, I would be so upset. Because even though you can say, well, she was black in the comics, we didn't have a lot of representation in the comics at that time for black people, so it's understandable. But even if you were to change it, it's too late now because every iteration of her in the movies is basically identical to what she was in the comics. She is established as looking this way. So if they suddenly make her into another ethnicity or make her look drastically different, then the audience has an issue with it and the director tries to gaslight them saying, you have a problem with this? Well, that's a you problem, bro. People are gonna be like, dude, okay, especially when you make most of the other characters look the same. Why isn't Hiccup played by an Asian man if it doesn't matter? Like, if the goal is to deepen and embellish the story fans already love, why alienate them by disregarding the character's established look? This wasn't something that happened freaking decades ago. We recently saw, as a matter of fact, not only recently saw them in the last movie, but we've had shows about them. Like, you've already had merch. It's already established. If they're trying to do this for their stupid theme parks, I don't know what they were thinking. Also, franchises aren't just about movies. You're building a brand. When fans go to your theme parks or they buy the merchandise, they want to see the Astrid they connected with, not a version that looks totally different depending on the media, which is basically the same medium, which is cinema, which is it's on the screen, it's on the big screen. It's still CGI dragons as far as I know. Here's Hiccup. Oh shit, there's Astrid. They look like, you could have even, look, the facial structure, you could say the facial structure is kind of similar, the build is similar, let's not make her blonde and blue-eyed. You could have done that. You're not gonna take away the one drop of blood that this girl has in her that's black. If you make her look like the character, that's a wonderful thing about being mixed. You can be flexible in the characters that you can play. that would actually work very well for people like this in Hollywood, because based on how you wear your hair, you can basically pass almost for anything. But no, let's give her some micro braids just because she has some black in her, just so we can let people know, yep, she's definitely that. Let's not make her look like Astrid while we make Hiccup look like Hiccup and make Toothless look like a very grainy, ultra HDR version of Toothless that nobody asked for. If you want to reimagine the world or add diversity, why not create new characters that complement the story instead of altering the existing ones? It's not about replacing whitewashing with the opposite. It's about respecting the identity of characters that we've all grown to love. No, I don't want Stoic to be a woman. I don't want him to be blonde. I don't want him to be Asian. I don't want him to be black-haired. I want him to be a big, burly, red-haired man, which they kept. I want Hiccup to look like Hiccup. If you're gonna make this whole thing doesn't even need to be talked about, to be honest, because this movie should not have even been made. And here's the thing I don't understand. This is gonna blow your minds, or maybe it's blowing mine. Maybe I'm alone in this. If you have a theme park and you want to drum up some excitement and keep the name of How to Train Your Dragon relevant, I know this is gonna sound freaking bizarre, but I don't know. Call me crazy if I'm being too much. Why not just make another animated movie of How to Train Your Dragon? I don't know, set in the same universe, you know? Sounds very freaking crazy. What about Astrid and Hiccup and their kids? What about Astrid needing to go back on another adventure, you know, with Hiccup and Toothless and their entire family? I mean, call me crazy, but is that not something you could have done? Oh, wait, I forgot. You guys lack creativity now. For some reason, that well has run completely dry. Someone sucked it out of your proverbial blowholes and you have none left. And so the only thing you can do is retell a story you've already told while making it look worse and grossly unnecessary, and then doing something controversial so that you can have a leg to stand on and be like, you people are being mean to us. See, look at how deep we are. Look at what we're doing. Look at how we're telling the depth to a story we already fucking told 5 years ago. Oh my God. Aren't we artistic? Like, everyone can see through that shit. You're not fooling anybody. Like I said, he's being so ridiculous with this whole, oh, Astrid and Ariel and Hermione aren't real. Yeah, but Astrid looked the way she looked in the recent movie 5 years ago. Now that Astrid looks completely different and we have a bunch of merch and people are going to the theme parks to see Astrid and they're like, who the fuck is this? Diversity is being able to create new characters as well and expanding a story instead of reworking the established characters. This feels lazy and out of touch. So you can see on the set here, I mean, this guy's, look, she has a facial structure. You can argue that, but she's not blonde. You can look at this woman, and if you're to tell me which one of these is Astrid, I don't fucking know. I mean, obviously you're looking, this guy looks like, freaking, what are their names? Rough and Tough? Tough and Luck? Frick are their names, the twins. Sorry, I had to look it up. Rough Nut and Tough Nut. That looks like Tough Nut, right? Here's Tough Nut's character. Now, I could be wrong, but that does look like Tough Nut. We got this guy that looks, I mean, his hair is kind of reddish, but it could just be the lighting as well. But we got that long, doofy looking dude with this dirtyish, blondish hair. I mean, it better be blonde. And yeah, it has to be him. Look at the helmet. He's got the Texas Longhorn looking horns out to the side and the two devil horns at the top. And you got the same thing with him here. So we know that's him, and it's obvious that they cast the right person for him because he looks identical to his character. I don't know who this person is. This person is large, and looks female. Don't tell me that's Rough Nut. Bro, they were twins, and they're long and lanky and doofy looking. And I love Rough Nut. She's one of my favorite characters. Don't know who the fuck that is, but that's not Rough Nut. I hope that's not where this is going, because, bro, who the fuck is this? Is that Snot Lout? Is that Fish Legs? Like, it has to be Fish Legs. Anyway, yeah, looking at this group, I cannot tell. I would not be able to tell which one's Astrid. I would believe he's Astrid before I believe she was Astrid, because so people are having faith. They're like, well, she looks like Astrid. The only difference is the hair. Someone said Terry Crews would have been a perfect Astrid. I just want to see her blonde. Why isn't she blonde? Everyone's saying, I just wish her hair was blonde. What about the twins? That's what I'm saying. Why does their hair look weird? I hope that's just the lighting, because if they make her brunette with freaking micro braids, and then they make the twins red-haired, which is what it looks like in the lighting here, and then they make one of them look like two of them, I don't understand why they would go that route. Like, what's the point? Justice for my guys, Rough Nut and Tough Nut. And speaking of reworking the characters, it was only while I was doing this video that more info, or I found more info on the video, and I found out that apparently the twins, yeah, they don't really look like each other either. Apparently the whole cast is having this kind of rework, and the reason why people are making a big deal about Astrid is because she and Hiccup were the first ones that people were aware of. They didn't know who the other people were. They didn't know what they looked like. It was only Astrid. So that's why people were talking about it. As for the America Ferrera issue with the voice acting, where people are like, no one had a problem with America Ferrera voicing Astrid. Yes, because she's a voice actor. If America Ferrera had looked the way she looked originally, and they made her character look like that, whatever. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're voice acting for something, if you are having a story take place in an ancient Chinese history and a black person is voice acting a Chinese person, if it's in English for the general audience, then it doesn't matter, does it? As long as the characters on screen look Chinese. I don't think that's rocket science. Did people not take comprehension classes in school in elementary? Bro, she looks like Astrid. I don't get the hate. Does she though? Aside from her facial structure, if we were to look at this just coming off the original, knowing that Astrid is such an iconic character, everyone's like, she's not even a main character. She's literally the main character's fucking main piece. She's his girlfriend and becomes his fucking wife. How is she not a main character? What fucking popcorn did you guys snort into your goddamn nasal cavity? Holy shit. See, we were asking all the obvious questions and people are just afraid. They're like, oh my god, she's like totally looks like Astrid. Like, stop capping, bro. Aside from her facial structure, the hair completely, the first thing you see when you see something from far away, you see their hair color and then their skin color and then you see their details. Bro, wait, why don't we just make Toothless yellow? At that point, if you're gonna start changing the characters a bunch, just make a new movie. You have a rich universe of How to Train Your Dragon. The twins are not twinning. Why are none of the blonde characters blonde? I have no idea. At least give her blonde hair that is not my Astrid. Why do the twins have red hair? They didn't give her a wig at least. I've seen actors lose 50 pounds and gain it all back in 3 months. They couldn't dye so anyone's hair blonde. Exactly. Y'all complaining about Astrid, but look at Rough Nut. I still have high hopes. The movie will be great though. What movie will be great? It's the same movie. The movie was, oh my god. I'm not even gonna, bruh, I don't even know why I'm bothering, bro. It's the gaslighting by the director for me. It's him all like, you guys, this whole thing about you guys have a problem because she's black. It's getting fucking old. Like, it's getting so old. And he has a nerve to use the examples of Hugh Jackman is Australian. Bitch, he looks like Wolverine though, you fucking idiots. When people see him, he's Canadian, right? I'm sorry. Was Wolverine in any of the movies speaking in a fucking Australian accent, you fucking dumbass? I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm getting so fucking mad. I don't like when people gaslight people like this. I really hate that shit. I really hate that shit. The examples that you're giving, it's giving me toddler level IQ, inability to think or rationalize. It's giving maybe you're getting senile and you shouldn't be doing this anymore. Because if that's your argument for all of this, I feel sorry for you. You made yourself look like a dumbass. And you think that the rest of us have a lower IQ than you, that we can't see through your fucking single digit IQ. Because what the hell is even this argument, bro? What is this? Just be real and say what you really want to say. Or else don't have a problem. Keep that same energy if it's another character. Like, let's see, what's a franchise with, what's the most Black Panther. That's the only way I could think of that was the most recent one that's really popular because it's Marvel, Disney, whatever. If it's fantasy, let's have somebody else play. Let's have Brad Pitt play T'Challa, right? Or Bucky play T'Challa next. Oh, that's not a problem? That's offensive? Wow. I wonder why. Please. This is the kind of shit that makes people get so freaking annoyed. You could have just made another animated movie. What do people have against animation? Oh, I want live action and blah, blah, blah. Why can't you just continue doing animation? Why is everyone moving away from that? And even with the CGI animation, you always manage to make them look disgusting and make them look painfully CGI. Swear to God, the Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon live action looks more CGI than the actual original CGI dragon from the original franchise that only had its last movie 5 years ago. 5. Can you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years ago. half a decade. Holy shit, man. Brother in a fucking snail trail from its freaking soppy ass.
Since y'all declared me as Astrid from How to Train Your Dragons and the hiccup of TikTok just followed me, aka Paperback, I think we should petition for DreamWorks to hire us for the live action movie. DreamWorks, get on that.